In this tutorial, we're going to use Adobe Illustrator CC 2020 to go through Classroom Book Chapter 9, which is all about adding type to a poster. So we'll be creating this strawberry lemonade card and kind of this grilled trout look and feel. So let's go ahead and pull open that L9 start file and do a file save as. Let's do a first initial last name underscore Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book Chapter 9 as an Illustrator file in my Lesson 9 folder and go ahead and say save. All right, so this one we're going to do all types of different ways to add type. So let's go ahead to our window and our workspace. Make sure we're starting in the same place. So window and workspace and reset essentials. So we're all starting from the same point. Let's go ahead and add some type to that recipe card. So we can add two types of type to an Adobe Illustrator file. One is point type, which is a line of type that starts where you begin and expands as you enter the kinds of characters. So you can't really scale it. We're going to go ahead and let's go to our artboard number 1. Let's click down here, artboard number 1. And let's go ahead with our type tool. Don't drag. We're going to go with our type tool right here. And let's go ahead in this first dotted section here. Click and let's go ahead and write serves. And let's do it in all caps. Colon 6 to 8. All right, let's go ahead and if we were to grab our selection tool and try and grab that, because it is area type, it is stretching. If it was point type, it would not stretch. So if we double click it, now if we stretch it, it's just going to make it not do anything. So let's go ahead and undo all that. So we've got our serve 6 to 8 right there. All right, so we're back where we want it to be. Let's go ahead and continue placing some more text. Let's grab our type tool, go over here, and our time, we should put time, colon, 15 minutes. All right, so area type is going to use the boundaries of the object, something like a rectangle, to control the flow of those characters horizontally and vertically. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of area type. Let's go ahead, grab that type tool. And in this area right above our serve 6 to 8, let's draw a box. And in that box, let's go ahead and write the word strawberry lemonade. So depending on how big your box is, if you grab your selection tool, you can change it and it's going to go ahead and wrap it and change it accordingly. So let's go ahead and work with some auto sizing. So let's go to that bottom middle box. If we go to the bottom part, if we double click on it, we're going to get that widget, which means the type is not set to auto size. If we double click it, that will auto size that box and will change that size of that box for us accordingly. Let's go ahead and click it back so it's small. Let's go to our type and let's write after lemonades, let's say with mint. So notice how it automatically wrapped that for us because of the size of the box. So we don't necessarily want to say it's with mint, so let's go ahead and take that back out. More of a demonstration of how the different types of tools work. All right, let's go ahead and deselect and do a Control S and save. So let's go ahead and add the word fresh to our ribbon. So let's go to our type tool and right above the banner, let's type the word fresh. And small letters is fine because we're going to play with that later. And let's go ahead and hit escape and I'll change it to our selection tool. So if we move our pointer over this element, it's going to change what type of box we have, whether it is area type or point type. So right now, if I take this box and stretch it, it is going to go ahead and make it so we can change that accordingly. If I undo and double click on there, now if I change that, I only change the size of the box, not size of the element itself. So I do want to be able to scale it. You make sure you hold shift as you do it so you can actually make sure you don't completely hose the type. Let's go ahead and put fresh over here in the middle of our box right here. So making sure you hold shift is a big thing. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to our artboard number 2. And within artboard number 2, we're going to make sure we don't have anything selected. So select and deselect or click out on your pasteboard. So we're going to go ahead and place a little bit of text. And we're going to put it right here in this first box right here. So let's go ahead and do a file in place. It's about halfway down. And we want to make sure we're in our lesson 9 folder. And let's go ahead and grab that one that says text, txt.txt. And you can see that you've got a couple options. Go ahead this time and click show import options. It'll kind of show you what your options are. So when we look at that, it's going to say where is it coming from, what's your character set, and you can have it take care of some items. And you do a little bit of cleanup for you beforehand. So maybe you've got 3 spaces, it's going to go ahead and put a tab in there. So let's go ahead and say OK. And let's go ahead and draw a box to place that text into. So we've got our text, and you can kind of see that we do have that overset text box, which we're used to seeing in InDesign. So we've got our import and our outport. So let's go ahead and with our selection tool, if we hit escape, we'll get our selection tool. We can go ahead and hit that outport, get our loaded cursor, and draw another text box in order to flow that in there. And you can see that we've got our threaded text box here so we can flow the information from one box into another. We will go ahead and play with some of those overset text problems and some of the other elements as we go along. Let's go ahead and do a Control S and save what we've got so far. So let's go ahead and leave that text box selected. We're going to go ahead and format some of that type. So for this one, we're going to have to make sure we're using some of our Adobe fonts. So you might have to go ahead and activate some of those. So let's go with our type tool, and let's go into our ingredients box here and do a Control A or select Option A and select everything, or Command A if you're on the Mac, and it's going to select everything. Let's go to our properties panel, and let's go to the right of our font family, and we want to go ahead and hit the fonts that we have appearing. Let's go here to this Find More. And right now mine is saying it's activating fonts instantly, so it's initializing right now. It might take a little bit, and mine might look a little different because of different projects that have been worked on with different tutorials and things over time. So let's go ahead and hit our filter. So with our filter, I want to go ahead and grab the sans serif option, which is this capital M right here. So without feet, and it's going to show me just those sans serif options. So from there, I want to go ahead and say I want the Montserrat Light. So Montserrat. And I want to go ahead and make sure I get Montserrat Light. So I'm going to go right here to the side of my name, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it to activate. It's going to say, do you want to activate? I'm going to say yes. So it's going to go ahead and make it so I've got that one activated. I can use it when I am doing my work. So let's go ahead and add another one. Let's go ahead and go to our, let's go down and find Oswald, so OSW. And we want to go ahead and activate Oswald Light. So make sure, oops, I deactivated. I want to reactivate. All right, so Oswald Light is now turned on for me. After activating the fonts, we want to go ahead and hit that clear all so we can see all of the fonts again. And that'll go ahead and make it so we can see the serif fonts as well. So let's go ahead and our fonts. So somehow it's still on that one. All right, so filters, clear all. All right, let's do an escape. So let's go ahead now and apply some of those texts. So let's go to our, let's go back into our fonts. Let's go into our show activated, which is a little cloud with the check mark. And I've got all kinds of stuff selected because of different projects. So let's go ahead and we should see Montserrat. I've got my Montserrat in there. I've got my Oswald, so we're good. I'm going to go ahead and choose artboard number 1. I'm going to choose my words for strawberry lemonade. So my selection tool and strawberry lemonade. And I'm going to go ahead. I don't necessarily have to, I can apply the type to the whole box instead of having to do the individual letters. So it's more of a paragraph style than a character style. So let's go ahead in our properties pile, and here in our character we can just start to write Montserrat. So M-O-N-T-S, and I want to make sure that I go ahead and grab that Montserrat, and I've got a whole bunch of them. All right, I'm just going to put Montserrat for now. Instead of black italic, I want to go ahead and change it over to medium. So I just picked one. Now you notice that I start hyphenating. I don't necessarily want to hyphenate. I'll play with that in a little while. So let's go ahead now and resize that so each one has its own line. All right, let's go ahead and grab our fresh text. So grab our text over here. And let's go ahead and do a shift click and grab serves and time at the same time so we can change all of those at once. Let's go over here instead of character for Myriad. Let's go ahead and change it to OSW for Oswald. And we're going to do our Oswald light to go ahead and apply that there. So you can apply something to multiple fonts at once. Depending on what you had when you turn this on, you may or may not have had the option to activate additional fonts. So let's go ahead back to our strawberry lemonade text. So click back out, click on that strawberry lemonade text. And let's go over here to our properties panel. And under font size, let's go ahead and change that up to 48 and enter. And you're going to see we've got that box because we made it bigger. So if we go ahead and do our double click, it's going to automatically auto fit that. Now it's not quite what we want, so let's go ahead and grab that box and make it so it auto fits exactly the way we want. So let's make it even a little bit bigger. Let's make it size 52 instead. All right, so now let's go ahead and grab that fresh text. And if we notice it right here, because we drug it, because we didn't scale, because we were scaling it, we've got a point something here instead of a even number. So let's go ahead and change that to 48 instead and hit tab or enter. So now we have styled those two elements. Let's do a Control S and save what we've got so far. So let's go ahead and change the font color. Our font color, that's on our fresh. Let's go ahead to our fill and make that white. And let's go to our strawberry lemonade and make that fill the color called strawberry. So we can add additional character formatting as well. So let's go to our selection tool, make sure we've got our strawberry lemonade selected. Let's go to our properties panel and let's go ahead and close out of that and go to our leading. Our leading is our space between our lines, and we want to go ahead and make that even tighter. So instead of 62.4, let's go ahead and put in 52 and hit enter. So you see how it brings it together just a little bit more nicely. Makes it seem a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and grab fresh. And let's go ahead to our more options under our character. Those three little periods. And let's tell it to be all caps. So let's make it that all caps option instead. So let's go ahead and now grab that fresh and let's shift click and grab the ribbon as well and go right outside and kind of tilt them together. I'm going to make them even with the straw to kind of give it just a little less formal of a look. I'm going to do a Control S and save. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one for now so that we have a chance to do the next tutorial together. So this is the end of part 1.